talks, offseason plan, me and Christian are going to tell you how the Yankees are not going to not just get back to the World Series, but win the World Series, win another World Series ring. Obviously, that's the goal. And when we were doing this, Christian, we each have our own plan, but at least for me, I felt like there was a lot of different ways the Yankees could go. There's a lot of different scenarios that they could do. Some of them I think are unrealistic. I would be surprised if they did them. But some are very realistic, and I can certainly see them happening. So we're going to get all into that. Just some news. Jazz Chisholm Jr. won a Silver Slugger Award. Aaron Judge won a Silver Slugger Award, and the Yankees won the collective team Silver Slugger Award, which I think is somewhat new. And Muntaka Murakami, he got posted today, and I believe he'll have till December 22nd to sign. But other than that, Christian, how are you doing today, my friend?
I did not know we won the Team Silver Slugger Award. I guess it does make sense, though. That should be how they determine who wins the World Series, Ryan.
Sound like a Mets fan.
Yeah, no. But that's what we're going to be talking about in this live. How we can build our team next year so that we win a World Series and not just a Team Silver Slugger. But I'm doing good. I'm starting, obviously that period where Yanks get eliminated that we've experienced the past 8 years or whatever. It's always like a weird 2-3 week stretch because you're still watching baseball, but the Yankees aren't there. And now everyone's back in the same boat. Yep, the Dodgers won, and that was quite the World Series. I don't know if we really talked about it on here, and I don't know if we really need to, but obviously a pretty cool World Series. But now everyone's kind of back in the same boat, right? Everyone is in free agency now. Yankees extended a qualifying offer to Trent Grisham. That's interesting. Yeah. Earlier today, I was like, there is no way he's going to take this. I mean, he could probably get a multi-year deal with that AAV. And now, and especially as I was going through my offseason plan and where I wanted to go, I don't know. Is there a chance? Maybe. And how much does that change the offseason? So, yeah, this is kind of like the fun part where, we get to build our own team, and it never happens, but we still get to do it.
Yeah, and, no one else will ever get to build their own team other than Brian Cashman. I mean, he's going to have that job until, you and me are both gone, until our great-grandchildren are gone. He's going to find a way to be immortal so he can just keep running out same old rosters for the Yankees year in and year out. But, Christian, you want to just get right into it?
I could do that, and if you don't mind, I'd like to start here.
All right, floor is yours, assistant GM.
Okay, and feel free to chime in here at any point, Ryan. So I'll preface by saying this. Well, first, let me start with this. Yankees payroll projected, once arbitration, all that gets handed out, it's probably going to be around $240 million. Last year, I think it was just above 300. So we're keeping it somewhat realistic.
Yeah.
So final. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and the final threshold of the luxury tax is $304 million. Just to point that out. Interesting to see if the Yankees will go over that. I expect they won't, but you never know.
Yeah, so probably sitting around somewhere that $304 million range. So my first, when I was making the plan and what I was just talking about is if Trent Grisham accepts the qualifying offer, I don't really know where you go from there. And then I think you're kind of in a tricky spot. So, for all the Yankee fans that were saying, oh, why did you extend him this? What are you doing? I somewhat agree. But also at the same time, I'm still holding out that he's not going to accept it. But if he does, then I think Tucker and Bellinger are out of the question. Or else, what are we doing? You're going to run back the same team, and then you have Grisham, Bellinger, Judge in the outfield. Where is Dominguez and Jones ever going to get playing time? That's not going to work. So, I don't really know. I saw on, I think Carton was talking about if he does accept it, then you can pivot and look at like a an Alex Bregman, but then you also have McMahon playing third base. And,
Yeah.
For where Bregman's contract's going to land, I don't know if he's worth that much. Bo Bichette is a full-on steer clear for me. And I think for a lot of teams, I think kind of universally, people just understand he's not really a major league shortstop. So not really investing long-term there. So if Trent Grisham accepts it, I don't know exactly where you go. I'm kind of banking on he's not. And then when that's the case, Ryan, I'll start with Cody Bellinger. I think that's kind of the one a lot of Yankee fans want to go after, want to get him back. I'm not too hot on that. Not too hot on that. And, I kind of fell in the area of if it gets to 5+ years and really anything over 130, 140 million dollars, I'm out. And
wow,
it is almost like definitely gonna get to that range, but
yeah,
he doesn't move the needle for me that much, Ryan, where I want him to be my left fielder for the next 6 or even 7 years. That just doesn't do it for me. I know he had a great season and
29 bombs, amazing defense, 2-strike approach.
Yeah, I just don't think he can reproduce that for 5+ years.
Okay.
And then it also just worries me, like, now we're tied up kind of big time here. All right, we got Stanton's kind of locking up the DH for a little while. We got Judge in right field locked up for a while. Then we're going to have Bellinger in left locked up for a while. I don't know if we need that much commitment in the outfield. I mean, not necessarily that Stanton even counts as the outfield. Especially when the player we're getting, Bellinger, I don't think is a guarantee in terms of production. And I know he made a great case for himself this year. So I'm going hard after Tucker. And his projected contract, it's probably going to be 10 years, $400 million. That's the range that people are assuming right now. I'm on board with that. And, I know I was kind of just saying I don't want to get tied up with so many outfielders. Tucker's different in my boat because I know who he is. I know the player he is. Cody Bellinger, I don't fully understand. Kyle Tucker, solid defender, and just a really elite hitter. I said it before, I'll say it again. I think he's a step down from Juan Soto at the plate, but that's not a bad thing. And I would be more than comfortable throwing $400 million out at this guy. And he's 28 years old, too.
28. I was just going to say that. 28 years old. I think he could put up MVP type numbers in Yankee Stadium for sure. He also had a lot of stolen bases last year, too, which is something maybe the Yankees could use. How many stolen bases?
He had 25. 20? He had 30 in 2023. 11 in 2024. So yeah,
and I believe he almost had an OPS. What was his OPS in 2024? 9.44 something.
Yeah, 993.
Yeah, so that was in 2024, and this year he dealt with some injuries, right? It was considered kind of a down year for him.
Yes, but 2024 was only I don't know how many games played, but 330 at bats, so he only played like half the season.
Okay, so he's had some injuries. Obviously, one of the biggest questions with him is going to be, the postseason numbers because he doesn't have a good track record in the postseason. But Christian, I had him originally in my plan. I had like 4 different plans, and I'll get into that later on. But I was going back and forth. I had a whole like bulletin board, connecting the strings and all the thumbtacks.
Like a murder mystery, yeah.
Yeah, trying to put this team together. So I did a deep dive into Kyle Tucker. Christian, I don't know if you want to show everyone the spray chart, but I mean, he hits a lot of balls to right field. That would be home runs in Yankee Stadium. And Wrigley is not that favorable towards a left-handed hitter in right field with the wind. And I think it's somewhat deep out there too. So I think Kyle Tucker, right? He's entering the prime of his career. I think you're going to get at least, 4, 5, 6 years out of him that are going to be really, really productive. I could even see him winning an MVP, Christian, with the Yankees. I don't know if that's crazy to say, but I feel like Yankee Stadium, him entering the prime, he'll have protection batting, in front of Aaron Judge. I feel like that could work out really, really well for the Yankees, but it is a really, really big commitment. And there's other players, down the line that the Yankees, I'm sure, would be interested. And one of them, Christian, probably the biggest one next season is going to be Tariq Skubal.
Mm-hmm.
If you sign Kyle Tucker, I don't think there's any world the Yankees can bring in Skubal, because Skubal is going to get, 400 plus million into the 450 range. And Skubal, I believe he is 28. And I have the Yankees, Christian, this season. I have them going out and trading for Tariq Skubal. Be the evil empire. I mean, this guy's the best pitcher in the league. 31 games this year, 13-6, 2.21 ERA. He had 241 strikeouts and 195 third innings, and he has a 2.04 career postseason ERA. This guy is a stud. I think if you bring him in your rotation, I don't see how anyone could really beat the Yankees in the postseason. Obviously, the bats need to step up. But Christian, you bring in Kyle Tucker. Is that going to solve all the Yankees' problems in the postseason? They need the guys on the team to step up. They need Jazz to step up, right? Stanton didn't have a great postseason this year. He's been amazing, so I'm not dogging on him, but they need the guys they have right now to step up in October. But Christian, how are you hitting Garrett Cole, Tariq Skubal, Max Fried? And then you got Carlos Rodon potentially as your 4. And I think the Yankees can get this deal done, Christian, right? They have some pitching depth. Luis Heel, Will Warren, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, who had a dominant season in Double-A last year. The Yankees' number 2 prospect, throws over 100 miles an hour. Carlos Lagrange, he's a stud too. I think the Yankees have some pieces where they could bring in Tariq Skubal and at least get him for this season. Now, he's going to make this year $22.5 million. So you add that on to like the 240, right? You're at like 260, upwards of like 270 in that range right now. And, who knows what's going to happen with the Yankees injuries, right? You got Garrett Cole, who's going to miss a little bit of the season. You got Carlos Rodon, who's going to miss the start of the season as well. Why don't we just go out there opening day, March 25th, night game versus the Giants? Why don't we just throw Tariq Skubal out there on the mound? I think, Christian, if the Yankees could bring in Tariq Skubal and the offense can do its job, remember, the Yankees just won a Team Silver Slugger award. It's not like their offense is abysmal. I think the postseason kind of shoves the offense a little bit in a cloud, a little bit in the shadow. It was a really, really good offense. I don't see how anyone could stop this Yankees rotation in October. And teams around the league believe that the Tigers would seriously consider trading Tariq Skubal if they receive a compelling offer, and that's from Buster Olney. So I think the move, Christian, is to bring in Tariq Skubal. I know the Yankees have a lot of depth in their starting rotation. I know they have a very good starting rotation, but when you have an opportunity to bring in this type of player, I think you go ahead and do it.
Yeah, so I had Skubal in the back of my mind when I was going through this plan, and I like everything you're saying. I look at it from the perspective of I don't think the Tigers are going to trade him this offseason unless they get overwhelmed with an offer. I think the trade deadline, sure, if the Tigers aren't, in contention, he's 100% out the door. And maybe that's when the Yankees could swoop in and get him. Because also, let's be realistic, do the Yankees need Tariq Skubal for the first 3 months of the season? No. They're regular.
No.
They dominate in the regular season, right? They'll probably be in first place at the trade deadline. So it's not a move that the Yankees have to make. It's kind of one of those moves that is just like, oh, that would be really cool. And it is for 1 year. I want the Yankees to be as aggressive as humanly possible when he's a free agent next year. Literally break baseball, break the bank open. But for 1 year trading for him, especially in the offseason, I don't know.
That was one of the things that kind of like prohibited me from signing Tucker, because if they sign Tucker, then they're out on Skubal. I don't see a world in which the Yankees get both.
Yes. So
I'm thinking like, okay, you go.
That was also going through my brain. And that's why I'm not going to overpay for Tucker. So, like, if it starts getting higher than $400 million, kind of like we saw with Soto, where it got to a point where the Yankees just couldn't really compete with the Mets, then we back off. And that's fine. And where do you pivot from there? I don't really know. Because, again, I'm not too high on Bellinger, so we'll see. Maybe that does mean bringing Trent Grisham back for a 2-year deal and spending money elsewhere. But no, I am not all in on Kyle Tucker. I am all in on his projected contract. But no, there is a ceiling with that. And look, if you don't land him, then yeah, the Yankees set themselves up to probably be like one of the top spots for Tariq Skubal to go to in free agency.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I know Soto didn't work out. Like, he ended up signing with the Mets, but you can't tell me that the Yankees fans and the Yankee fan base didn't have any sort of effect in his decision. Do you think he just totally blew the Yankees off? Like, I think that's something you should have thought about. And okay, well, if with the Dodgers and the Mets, who've shown they can spend more money in the Yankees in the last few years, I think having that 1-year advantage could be very, very valuable for the Yankees. And look, Aaron Judge is 34 years old. He's not getting any younger. Put superstars around this guy. You know, you put Juan Soto around him. You went to the World Series when you made that trade. You bring in Tariq Skubal. Who knows what could happen? I just don't see a world how anyone is hitting Skubal, Garrett Cole, Max Fried. I mean, Carlos Rodon becomes your number 4 in your rotation. I mean, that is nuts. I can't even wrap my head around that. So I think when you have an opportunity, you know, it's kind of putting itself on a silver platter. When you have this opportunity to go out and get not a really good pitcher, not an elite pitcher, the best pitcher in the whole entire league, I think you can't turn that down. I know they have a lot of pitching. I know they have a lot of good pitching, but you can never have enough pitching. I think you go out there, you bring in Tariq Skubal. I think they have the depth to go out and get it done. I'd be fired up. We brought in Skubal. I would love that. And he's 28. I mean, he could have a way better season this year than he did last year. I mean, he's just getting better and better. So I think that's where I was looking at it. I was looking at Tucker and I was looking at Skubal and I was like, who would I want down the line in the future of the Yankees? And I was thinking I'd rather have Skubal over Kyle Tucker. That's what I was thinking. But look, can you go wrong either way? No. I mean, I like I said, I think Kyle Tucker could win an MVP with the Yankees.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess then I'll go here with my offseason plan, you know, sticking on the pitching side. My kind of big move, I'm going to Michael King. And it's somewhat of a down year. He was also injured last year, had a 3.44 ERA.
Only 15 games.
Yeah, metrics weren't great. But look, we know Mike King. And also, I think going back to the Yankees, that was where he got really good. You'd think that they would kind of put him back together, too, if he's a little bit off. And I also don't hate the idea of no longer having him start games. And maybe to begin the season because, you know, we're going to have, Rodon hurt, Cole probably won't hurt. Be healthy. Yeah. So he's probably going to start in that rotation. But then as the season goes on and we get our full rotation back, if the Yankees could have a 3-inning guy out of the bullpen that is as nails as Mike King when he's right, that is going to change the entire outlook of their pitching as a whole. And it's probably only going to cost like $60 million because that his projected contract, 3 years, $60 million. That is much more realistic in my opinion. And I think there's just such an upside of that. Can you imagine if we had him as a weapon in the bullpen this year?
Yeah. I mean, if you look back to that 2022 team, Christian, I mean, he was money coming out of the bullpen. He give you 2 innings. He give you 3 innings. I mean, that type of pitcher is kind of lost in today's game, right, Christian? You don't really see that, you know, long relief, dominant reliever. Yeah, there's long relievers, but you don't see someone who's that dominant. And I thought that was such a weapon that the Yankees had in 2022. I think the thing is, Christian, is Michael King going to want to start? You know, like, how is that going to present itself there? I don't know, but I would like Michael King. I think Michael King's 30 years old.
I just had it. Hold on. He is 30.
Yeah, and I think he grew up in like the Massachusetts area, or like he grew up on the East Coast, I'm pretty sure. So maybe he would like to come home. I think the Yankees, like, even looking at it realistically, I think the Yankees are going to be all in on Michael King. And I'll say it right here, right now. The Yankees are going to sign Michael King this offseason. Like that is actually going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had him in one of my plans, Christian. I had him. I've had everyone in my plan. I even had JT Realmuto in one of my plans. Right. But I think the Yankees are going to bring Michael King in this year. I like King. I think, him coming back to the Bronx could be like a little energy boost that we need. So I like that right there from you, bringing in Michael King. Christian, I have a decision, and for my offseason plan here, I'm bringing someone in, Christian, but he's not a player. He's a coach. You want me to get into that real quick for you? Let's do it.
Well, actually, let me finish off on my plan because I'm almost done here.
Okay.
Because I literally have 2 more players that I wrote down. Well, I'll stick with the pitching. The other guy I was looking at he was on the Reds last year. Emilio Pagan was absolutely dominant last year, and kind of the big thing that we were saying is the Yankees need some velo guys in the bullpen.
Yes.
Now he's going to be a little bit pricey for a reliever. His projected contract was 2 years and upwards of, or getting close to like $30 million. So I don't really know. And this, I'm not like dead set on this guy. And he also, look, he doesn't blow people away, but he's upper 90s. I think that fits in the bullpen. I think cutter, splitter guy. And, when you're kind of looking at relief pitcher free agents, there's not a lot of those high velo guys that you can really sign. So you can always, pull off a trade, and I wasn't going to look through 30 MLB teams for which guys we could trade with, but in terms of free agents, I think he's an option. Because other than him, I mean, it was kind of like Devin Williams was up there at the front. There were some crafty lefties, but other than that, not a lot of options. So if we're gonna go spend some money on a free agent guy, it'd be him. And then the only other thing I had, which I assume you have the same thing, bringing Ahmed Rosario back, great platoon with McMahon.
Yeah, the only thing with Rosario that's going to be a little complicated, I think, for me, is that they have Caballero on the roster. Oswaldo Cabrera is going to be back. So where the hell are they going to put Ahmed Rosario? Now, I know he's flexible. He can play the infield. He can play the outfield. But, like, how many, like, guys are you going to like, I think that could get really complicated when it comes to bringing him back. He hit over 300 against lefties this year, had an OPS of like 860, 830, something against lefties. I really want to bring him back, but Christian, I just don't know if there's a way it works, because how is he ever going to see the field between Caballero and Cabrera?
Well, I mean, as much as I love Oswaldo Cabrera, I would just look at him from like a pure value standpoint, and he can play a lot of positions. That's about it. And I would much prefer guys that could have like serious impact. I look at it from the perspective, when would Oswaldo Cabrera ever really be in a postseason game? Late innings, maybe if, we're kind of out of options and you throw him in to play left field or third base or whatever. But other than that, doesn't really have serious implications on the team.
Yeah, and Rosario came through in the playoffs this year. He had that big RBI single versus Boston. Did he get on base to set the tone for Judge there when he hit that 3-run bomb? I'm not totally sure on that, but I definitely remember that he got a couple big hits for the Yankees in the playoffs. Christian, I got 2 more moves for the Yankees. Now, you touched on Emilio Pagan, right? I'm going to go with another reliever that I really wanted the Yankees to sign not sign. I really wanted the Yankees to trade for this guy this past year's trade deadline. No one acquired him. I don't know if it's because he slapped that guy when he was in the bullpen, but I want the Yankees to bring back former reliever Dennis Santana. He's 29 years old, and if you remember Dennis Santana with the Yankees, he was not good at all. He had like an ERA of 6. He didn't play in many games. He pitched for the Yankees in 2024. Christian, this guy last year in 70 games was 4-5, pitched to a 2.18 ERA. And if you look at his baseball savant, it's pretty good. 96th percentile in chase rate. Like, I think this guy, maybe he figured it out. And like the Yankees brought him in originally. And as a lot of the times the Yankees do, they bring in these like journeyman relievers or guys that you never really heard much about. And all of a sudden, they put it together. Tim Hill, Michael Tonkin, right? The list goes on and on and on. All these journeymen the Yankees bring in, and they somehow figure it out and become really good, effective relievers for the Yankees. So maybe the Yankees saw something originally in Dennis Santana, and it just didn't blossom in pinstripes. And he went over there to Pittsburgh and he just started dominating. And Christian, he's in the final year of his deal with Pittsburgh. He's estimated to get like 4.5 million in arbitration. Why not bring Dennis Santana in? 29 years old. He just had a dominant season last year. 70 games, 2.18 ERA. And Christian, he throws hard. He throws hard. Big, tall guy. I would like to bring in Dennis Santana. I was really surprised that no one traded for this guy last trade deadline. Maybe that tells you something, all right? Because that is a little fishy to me that no one went out and got this guy from the terrible Pittsburgh Pirates. That is a little fishy to me, but I would like the Yankees to go out and bring back Dennis Santana. What are your thoughts on that?
So we're not going to, I'm not looking at ERA. He's a reliever. His metrics were better in 2024. If you look at his baseball savant page. So I would kind of say, like, if you didn't like him as a Yankee, well, that was kind of like who he was. He happened to get better results with the Pirates, but his metrics were better with the Yankees than they were last year. And I just didn't really, nothing about him moves the needle for me. If we could pull off a trade and really not give anyone up useful, sure. But I'm not expecting this guy. I don't even know if I would expect him to really be one of our high leverage guys, to be honest. So
Okay.
yeah.
I look, I like Dennis Santana a lot. I think he could be very valuable for the Yankees. We know the Yankees trade with the Pirates a ton, right? They brought in Bednar. It seems like the Yankees and the Pirates make a trade like every year. We saw the Clay Holmes trade, right? So I think Dennis Santana could be a stud for the Yankees if we brought him in. He's definitely someone I would keep an eye out for, but I understand that.
And the only other thing I would say is he's a primary slider guy. I mean, he throws a slider 50%, fastball like 30%. So this is not the fastball high velo guy that the Yankees are looking for, I think, this offseason.
Okay, that's fair. I got two more things. Well, actually, three more things, but I'll tell you the two things first. First thing is we're going to make Ben Rice the everyday first baseman. I don't know what you do at catcher, right? Look, could you have JC Escobar be the backup and Wells the primary catcher, and you just say, hey, Ben Rice, if we need you in a pinch at catcher, we'll do that, but you're just going to run out there every day and play first base? Yeah, you could. I just don't really like the idea of having two catchers that are left-handed. I think it just kind of messes everything up. JT Realmuto is possibly a guy, right? He's really good at throwing runners out, but he's not that great defensively. And, I think he's going to get a 1 year, 2 year deal, probably like $15 million. So look, I don't know. He wasn't even that good offensively last year. Most catchers aren't, especially if you're looking for a backup catcher. I don't really know. I mean, maybe you find some guy in the minor leagues, sort of what they did with Ben Rortvedt, even though he was left-handed. Like maybe you find an under the radar guy, backup guy that you could turn into your backup catcher. JC Escobar is like 30 something years old. Great story, everything like that. But I don't know how much development he's going to have left there. But with that being said, he could be a lot better than a lot of the options that are on the table when it comes to backup catcher. But I think having two left-handed catchers is just kind of, I think the Yankees could get a right-handed catcher that they could maybe platoon with Wells. I think that'd be beneficial. But I would make Ben Rice the everyday first baseman, and that should take a lot of stress off him. I mean, he had a great year last year, 26 home runs, 255, 836 OPS. I think he's 26 years old. So, look, you just tell Ben Rice, hey, first baseman's glove, you're going to play first base every day. You got the short porch out there in right field. I think that would take a lot of pressure off the guy. Because, I mean, that's got to be really hard when you're catching 2 games a week. You're playing first base. Oh, tomorrow you're going to DH. And then Friday you're sitting at your ass on the bench. It's way too much going on here. So Ben Rice just needs to stick at first base. All right. And we'll bring in Don Mattingly and he could help Ben Rice defensively. But we'll get into all that. And what I guess the final big move that I'm making, Christian, is I'm bringing back Cody Bellinger. Look, I don't know totally what the contract's going to be like. 5 years, 140. You said you're completely down on that. The 6 year, probably at what? It's going to be 160. I ain't giving him no 7 year deal. No, that's crazy. Cody Bellinger's 30 years old. I think Cody Bellinger was part of the solution. 272 average, 29 bombs, 814 OPS. Cody Bellinger won the Yankees like 4 or 5 games with his defense alone. He is exceptional defensively. I think you got to bring a guy like Cody Bellinger back. He's very versatile. He can play left field, center field, right field, even first base. All right, what if there's an injury? God forbid for Ben Rice, something like that. You could put Bellinger at first base. You could have Dominguez, Spencer Jones in the outfield. I think Cody Bellinger could be very impactful for the young guys like Spencer Jones and even Jason Dominguez. So I think bringing Cody Bellinger back is the right move. It's not as big of a commitment as it is for Kyle Tucker. I like Bellinger a lot. I think that he can even be better than what he was this year, given that he's only just 30 years old. And I think at least the next 3 years could be very productive. I know he's a little inconsistent and his career's a little bit like this. I get that. But I thought he was really, really solid this year. He can play in New York. Do you know Kyle Tucker can play in New York? No, you don't. Obviously, I think there's a risk with both these guys, but I think Cody Bellinger could definitely be the move for the Yankees. But I'm really contradicting myself here because I just said I think Tucker could win an MVP with the Yankees. So what the hell do I know? I think they're both good options. It's a tough decision for sure. But in my scenario, I got the Yanks bringing Skubal. I'm taking Skubal over Tucker, and that means I have to bring Bellinger back, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I want to start with what you said about Ben Rice, and I really like that because, kind of at first I was like, or when the season ended, my headspace was, all right, how do we get better? Stick Ben Rice at catcher, then we have a really good hitter at catcher. We'll, figure out first base, whether it's Alonso or whoever. But I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's just not that realistic, and there is a good chance that having him catch is going to hurt his offensive production. So I agree. I think just tell Ben Rice no more catching. Like, I don't even know if you really need him as a backup. He'll have him be the emergency catcher or maybe third string, right? If you really need him. And just don't even have him really at pitchers meetings, anything. Have him be your first baseman. I think, number one, that's going to help him really settle in offensively. So, I don't think anyone would really be surprised if he emerges as one of the top first basemen in the league, if he's not already. Yeah. And that kind of like just sets that in stone. You don't need to do any platoons there. You're just giving him full run. And then just looking at Austin Wells as catcher, I think he's good enough to be your starting catcher. I definitely agree that they need a right-handed platoon, and that's just not JC Escara as much as I liked him. So you're going to need to find that, but Austin Wells is good enough to hold down the catching position. I would put Austin Wells kind of in the same boat as Anthony Volpe, where it's like, is this ideal? No. But do we need to make a drastic change? Well, actually, let me eat my words, because I would not put him in the same boat as Volpe. I have a different stance on that. No, Austin Wells is fine at catcher. Get him a right-handed platoon bat. And then, Bellinger, I know originally I was like, or earlier in the show I was saying I'm totally out on him, and I am, but look, if the Yankees sign him, am I going to be throwing an alarm clock? No. All right. I loved him as a Yankee. I just think for where the money's going to end up, he's not going to be worth that. But at the end of the day, it's not my money, and if we're locking up left field for the next 5 years, fine.
Yeah. No, I definitely hear you. Look, I mean, it's going to be tough. I could see Austin Wells, getting better than what he was this year. I mean, he's still a young player. I mean, is this going to be who he is the rest of his career? I don't think it's fair to say that. Right. I mean, we were ecstatic about Austin Wells going into last season. We thought, he would have the type of numbers that Ben Rice put up this
Mm-hmm.
season. Right. So like to write the guy off after 1 year is pretty crazy. Also, I think another thing too, when it comes to Ben Rice, obviously he's not that great of a defender out there at first base. If he knows he's playing first base every day, I am telling you, this guy will make drastic improvements
Yeah.
at first base. Look at Vlad Guerrero, right? When he first moved to first base, he sucked, Christian. That guy, every ball was booting him. We saw him in the World Series, the playoffs. He was diving for balls, making diving plays, right? Like it's a position that I think it's a hard position to play, but I think it's easy to improve on. I do think that his defense will drastically improve if he's getting a run there every day. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people are totally disregarding, how difficult of a situation he was put in this year. I mean,
Yeah, and he did
catching,
great.
DHing, first base, and he still had a really, really good year. The backup catcher, I mean, it's kind of like a who cares, I
Yeah.
guess, but like, you know, I do think that you really want to lean in the direction of getting a right-handed catcher because it was kind of getting stupid last year. I mean, we had 3 left-handed catchers on a team, but that's Cashman construction.
And
And
well, also like maybe we're just being greedy Yankee fans here because
yeah,
Austin Wells has had an OPS above 700 all 3 years in the big leagues as a catcher. That's pretty good.
and he's a fantastic defender.
Well, that's kind of where I get picky with him because
Okay.
he's a fantastic framer, but that's somewhat going out the door next year with
Doesn't
ABS.
have a great arm.
Yeah, arm's not
Yeah.
great. So the framing, obviously, I guess it'll still help a little bit because, how many challenges can you force out of the other team? But it really goes downhill in terms of value a lot. So that's where I think it shifts a little bit. And that's also where I wonder our catcher's offensive numbers going to start to improve now that framing doesn't matter as much. And, you got to have a good pop time. You got to be able to block balls, but presenting the ball doesn't matter as much now.
Yeah, make catchers great again,
Yes.
I want to see some Thurman Munson, Gary Carter out here. Well, Yogi Berra, Elston Howard. I mean, make catchers great again. There's nothing better than a good offensive catcher. I mean, look what happened up there, in the Pacific Northwest with Seattle. I mean, they think Cal Raleigh's like a god, because he's an offensive catcher, because the catcher's the gritty guy. He's the glue guy. He's out there sitting in the 95-degree weather, sweating his ass off, and he's just hitting bombs. He's the glue guy. He's the grit guy. Now catchers, it's like, catch the ball, strike out, catch the ball. I mean, we got Austin Hedges, that guy from Cleveland. I mean, that guy's in the league. And Christian, I think I'm almost as good of a hitter as he is. I mean, I'm like serious. That guy can't hit anything. So, I think what's more productive, his mouth is way more productive than his bat is. I mean, he's always, he said Clase's the greatest pitcher of all time. So yeah, but look, let's make catchers great again. So I think for the most part, that's the plan. Another thing too, I wouldn't mind bringing Yarbrough back, just because the Yankees are going to be missing Rodon and Cole to start the year, right? I think Yarbrough, long relief, he did have a good stretch. Maybe you bring Yarbrough back, but for the most part, I think that's it. Maybe we bring back friend of the show, Paul Blackburn. But we'll see. And if the Yankees do bring him back, then that's a Matt Blake thing right there. But we'll see what happens. I think for the most part, that's it. If you want to start off the coaching move that we would both make, but for the players, that's it.
Yeah, Ryan, I like your plan. Don Mattingly is not coming to New York. I watched
he's not.
I watched his interview
I watched that
today.
Too. I watched.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
He was like, I think it was the New York Post, or maybe they were just the ones who post it. But whoever asked him the question about returning to the Yankees, he was like horrified almost when he got asked that question.
Yeah.
That's a shame, but yeah.
It really is a shame. I mean, I don't know what goes on But it really does seem like a lot of these ex-Yankees have a quorum with Brian Cashman. I mean, CC Sabathia, I feel like, has a little bit of bad blood. A-Rod and Jeter, we obviously know the Jeter, Cashman, Troy Tulowitzki saga, right? So that's part of the reason. But like, it just seems like there's a lot of bad blood. And then Christian, you and me heard the other day from one of our sources that Don Mattingly and Brian Cashman don't get along. So I don't know what the hell is going on. Don Mattingly was the Yankees hitting coach from 2004 to 2006, and then he was the Yankees bench coach in 2007. I know the Yankees love Brad Ausmus, so there's no world in which the Yankees get rid of Brad Ausmus.
Israel's manager. Yes.
Yeah, Israel's manager. There's no way they get rid of Ausmus to make Mattingly the bench coach. Not happening. I was thinking potentially first base coach. You have Ben Rice, who's trying to learn that position. Travis Chapman, who was the Yankees first base coach, who they just let go, right? He was also the Yankees coach. I'm sure Don Mattingly knows enough. I looked it up. He's never been a first base coach, never been an infield coach. I don't know if at his age he wants to be standing out there being a first base coach. But look, get him somehow involved. I mean, make him, I don't know, just make him the infield coach, stick him in the dugout, and make him the highest paid first base coach in the history of Major League Baseball. I don't care how it gets done. You got to bring this guy back in. Now, is this going to happen? No. You have a greater chance of, winning the lottery or Brian Cashman getting fired than it is for the Yankees to bring back Don Mattingly. It's not going to happen. Don't get me wrong. It is not going to happen. But I think it needs to happen because I think that, there's a lot, right? I think everyone loves Don Mattingly, and I've never seen a fan base so attached to like a coach. I mean, there is not one Yankee fan out there that says, oh, don't bring Don Mattingly back to the Yankees. Not one Yankee fan. And George Springer said during the World Series, A-Rod was interviewing Springer and Mattingly, and George Springer was like, having a guy in the clubhouse who's been there, done that, knows where it's been, right? Like knows where we're coming from. And I feel like a lot of the coaches nowadays, they haven't been in those spots that the players have. Having that little bit of an old school, vibe, someone who's played in New York under a lot of pressure. Also, how cool would it be to just, kill two birds with one stone? Judge and Mattingly get a ring at the same time. I mean, come on, has to happen. But it's not going to, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like our plans though, Ryan. I like yours more. I like yours more just because it's more exciting. But I like mine in the sense that I feel like it's more realistic in a sense. Not to dismiss your plan, but I feel like it's all actionable things that the Yankees can do.
Yeah.
In terms of the money, I think it would go above 300 if they were to get Tucker's. That's $40 million. You get Pagan or whatever reliever.
Yeah.
Maybe throw on another $10 million.
I
get
think
King.
They're gonna have to, yeah. I think they might. I think they're going to have to go over. Actually, like I'm not even joking. I think they'll have to. I don't know how you could really complete a team unless you do nothing. Unless you find Bellinger. And yeah, but even he's going to get 10. Like he's going to add on too. He's not free. Like
should be. He lost the Blue Jays the World Series.
Anyway, yeah. Well, I had a thought. What was my thought going to be? Oh man, I forgot it.
Was it about IKF?
We all know it's going to be a Cody Bellinger and they bring in my kid. I mean, let's just stop this off-season shenanigans right now. They are not signing Kyle Tucker. They are not trading for Tariq Skubal. They are going to bring back Cody Bellinger and they'll sign my kid. I mean, there's no sense in even talking about it.
And are we going to be happy with that?
I'll be happy, but the Dodgers are out here just stomping on everyone like a hammer, like that hammer guy in Donkey Kong. They're just stomping on everyone. And we're just here the Dodgers sign A+ players and we sign B+ players. That's how you sum the whole thing up, right? I just, I'm happy with it. I think the Yankees are a better team, obviously, that way. But is it a needle mover? Is it an exciting move? Not necessarily. But I do love Cody Bellinger. I do love Michael King. Don't get me wrong. They're really good players. So, it'd be interesting. But I'm all in on Scooble. I want to bring this guy in because then, Christian, you could literally make the case that you have 3 of the top 5 pitchers in the league all on your team: Scooble, Cole, and Fried. And if you want to squeeze one of them out of the top 5, all right, whatever. They're at least top 10. Carlos Rodon's right there. You got Cam Schlittler as your 5, right? Like, I don't know, man. That's tough to hit. I mean, maybe we don't even need to score runs. We'll just have a Judge solo bomb and we'll win 1-0.
That's what I was thinking about earlier today, because I saw a Red Sox fan who was saying trade for Scooble. And I put, when Cole's healthy and when Cole's 100% right, he's in this category too. Fried is not in this category, but that category of Paul Skeens, Garrett Crochet, Tariq Skubal, where it's like you're just not going to hit them. They're going to go 7-8 innings. Like, if you have 2 of those guys, how do you lose a postseason series?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, even in the back end, like, you got Fried is your number 3 guy. I mean, like, come on. Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm already thinking like 5 years ahead, Ryan. Why don't we wait till free agency? Why don't we get Scooble? Then Skeens is going to become a free agent. We'll get Skeens. Yeah. We'll be set. We don't even need offensive production. We'll be set.
We'll have Garrett Cole like ride the pine like Kershaw did on like a farewell tour or something like that. Yeah. He'll die. He'll strike out one guy in the World Series. We'll bring him in for a special matchup. He'll strike out like some guy, scrub like IKF on like a 93-mile-an-hour crafty fastball, and he'll just go, ah! Garrett Cole's growing a beard now, so who knows what that's going to happen there. 26 Yankees are going to be like one of the most aggravating or super fun teams of all time. Yeah. But look, my whole thing with the Scooble thing, just to sum that up, is like, how many times are you going to have the best pitcher in baseball this easily available? Like, it's $22.5 million for this season at least.
Yeah, but why are you saying easily available?
Well, I'm saying like you have a really good opportunity to get him, as opposed like in free agency, right? It's going to be that 400 upper echelon. Like, you have a really good opportunity to get the best pitcher in the league for one season, 22.5. At least I think, like, if you want to win a World Series, right? Like, you got to be aggressive. And like, I understand they have a lot of good pitching. I'm not going to fault them if they don't go out and get Tariq Skubal. Christian, remember 2017? Yankees didn't get Verlander at the waiver deadline. Remember 2019? They didn't trade for Garrett Cole. Like, like you've said, how you lose in a postseason series. I'd like to take my chances. The Yankees offense was awful in the postseason. But to be honest, I don't think signing Kyle Tucker is going to magically solve their postseason.
Wait. I wouldn't say the Yankees offense was terrible.
No, in the postseason.
Yeah, I do not.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. You think the Yankees offense was terrible in the postseason?
I don't think it was good. I don't think it was good.
I don't know necessarily about that. I mean, honestly, I don't have the stats, but I would guess the Yankees probably averaged like in the upper third of runs per game in the postseason.
Okay, well there was a lot of guys that struggled in the postseason.
Yes, I know that. Toronto, I'm just saying overall though, it wasn't like that was why they lost the postseason.
Okay. Toronto dominated. Lit up Fried, lit up Rodon, right? So look, like you said, how you lose in a postseason series. I'd like to take my chances with Tariq Skubal. And like, if Aaron Judge doesn't win a World Series with the Yankees, that would stink. But if you brought in Soto next to him, you brought in Skubal next to him, at least you could say, all right, we put superstars around this guy. And look, that's like the Dodgers out here making superstar moves. Brought in Yamamoto. Look how valuable the Dodgers rotation was for them this postseason. Look at the things that Yoshinobu Yamamoto did for them. Look at how far their pitching carried them this October, Christian. Look at that. Maybe the Yankees got to go out there and do that. Dodgers have a fantastic rotation. You got Snell, Yamamoto, Ohtani, right? Goes on and on and on. Maybe you have to do the same thing on the pitching side. I think Skubal's a slam dunk move. I think if I'm the GM, I'm really trying to bring him in. But, we'll see what happens. It's going to be a Bellinger and it's going to be a Mike King. I already know it. And, regardless, I'm fired up. And, regardless of what they do, the team is good enough that they'll be right in there to win the American League East. I'm really excited for Spencer Jones. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Who do you think is going to be the postseason excuse next year? Is it going to be Volpe? Is Luis Rojas going to have a bad send? What are people going to complain about?
Yeah, Luis Rojas. I like that. A bad
I
send
feel
by
like
Luis
people hate on.
Rojas.
I'm not on the Luis Rojas. Like some people just can't stand this guy. And it's just
Why?
I don't know. I don't think he's great, but you got to keep in mind.
Do you remember when the Yankees signed him and I was freaking out? I don't know if you were too, because this was when we first started. And I was on a whole tangent. I was like, "We signed the Mets garbage. What are we doing?" I was one of those fans. Your classic Long Island or Staten Island.
I've been a Yankee fan since 1967. Gotta love those guys. Yeah, but I think Yankees they got to show up. It's something every year. But look, you got teams like the Dodgers that are operating like you used to. You're the one with the most rings. You're the team that's like the cathedral. You're the team that is like the pinnacle of sports. It's not the LA Dodgers. Don't let the Dodgers steal your sport. Don't let them get that. You can compete right there with the Dodgers. I think you just got to go out there. You got to be super aggressive. We'll see what happens. And, let's drill Vlad Guerrero first AB 2026. Send a message. Also, Cam Schlittler, going to be exciting. Spencer Jones.
Yeah.
I guess they're going to have to try to replace that Grisham offensive production. You think they'll be able to do that? Grisham was one of the major contributors to the Yankees offense last year. Now, I get not signing him long-term because, this was a fluke, but the Yankees are going to need to replace that. So you think they'll be able to do that, Christian?
I don't know. And who knows if he comes back, to be honest. That's kind of where time will tell.
Yep. No, I'm not. Last thing on that, and then we'll wrap it up. I'm not totally against that. You don't know what's going to happen with Tucker and Bellinger. And I would have to imagine, I think the Yankees know they're not going to really make that big of a run at Tucker. I could be wrong, but look, to have the compensation pick, I guess you want the insurance anyway. I don't know. I'm not totally against it.
If you get it back for a year, $22 million. That's a good bargain.
Yeah, I feel like with any move that you make, there's never going to be really a move that's just checks every single box. There's going to be concerns with anything you do. Tucker,
and Grisham, even though it was a breakout year, and even though that's probably not totally the player he was, his metrics also backed it up too. They were pretty elite. So who knows?
Yeah. We'll see what happens, but join us for the ride this offseason. Going to be a big year, and really excited. So Yankees baseball starts February 20th against the Orioles in Sarasota, and join us all along the way. And hopefully a year from today, we'll be making a video how the Yankees can go back to back in 2027. But we'll see what happens. And go Yanks, F the Dodgers, investigate the 2025 Blue Jays. And I think that will wrap it up.
139 days until opening day. Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Peace.
All right. Hello, Saul.